Miami Dolphins versus Chicago Bears. The Miami Dolphins, 0-0, and Chicago Bears, 0-0, will try to pick up their first preseason win when they kick off their preseason on Sunday afternoon. The Dolphins entered last season as one of the favorites to claim the AFC East crown, fueled by a talented roster and high expectations. However, injuries derailed much of their campaign, forcing them to navigate a tumultuous year that ultimately limited their ceiling. Despite the setbacks, Miami managed to secure 8 wins, which was enough to finish second in the division but fell short of toppling the dominant Buffalo Bills. As they look ahead to this season, the Dolphins are determined to avoid a repeat of last year's injury woes. Staying healthy and maintaining consistent play will be crucial if they want to mount a serious challenge and dethrone the Bills as division champions. With key players expected back and improvements across the roster, Miami's hopes hinge on resilience and execution throughout the grueling NFL schedule. Miami struggled offensively last season, finishing with the 22nd best scoring offense in the league, which was a significant step back from their previous performances. Their offensive woes were largely due to quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's health issues, as he was limited to just 11 games, preventing the offense from finding consistent rhythm. Additionally, their running game experienced a notable decline, ranking 21st in the league, which put more pressure on an already hampered passing attack. This combination of factors led to an offense that often struggled to sustain drives and put points on the board. They opted to let Raheem Mostert leave in free agency and hope Devon Achane will be able to carry most of the load as the lead back. Miami improved significantly on the defensive end last season, finishing with the 10th best scoring defense in the league, a key factor in many of their wins. They made a blockbuster trade, sending star cornerback Jalen Ramsey to Pittsburgh in exchange for Minkah Fitzpatrick, a versatile and impactful safety who immediately bolstered their secondary. Additionally, the Dolphins prioritized defense in the draft, selecting 4 defensive players with 4 of their first 5 picks, signaling a clear commitment to maintaining and even improving their defensive prowess. Given these moves, expect Miami's defense to be just as formidable, if not better, than last year, anchoring the team's success moving forward. The Bears entered last season with high playoff aspirations, fueled by their decision to use the first overall pick in the draft on quarterback Caleb Williams and a roster loaded with experienced players at key skill positions. Expectations were sky high as the team looked poised to make a serious run. After a promising 4-2 start, however, the Bears fizzled out dramatically, struggling with consistency and injuries, and managed to win only 1 more game the rest of the way. That disappointing stretch highlighted the challenges of integrating a young quarterback while trying to maximize the talents of their veteran skill players. Their disappointing performance led the team to part ways with head coach Matt Eberflus and bring in former Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach. With Johnson calling plays and quarterback Justin Williams entering his second season, the Bears are optimistic about turning the page and ending their playoff drought this season. Johnson's offensive philosophy emphasizes creativity and aggressive play calling, which could unlock the team's potential. Combined with Williams' development and improved supporting cast, Chicago hopes this fresh approach will translate into more wins and a return to postseason contention. Chicago had the 28th best scoring offense in the league last season, averaging less than 20 points per game. They were 25th in running the ball and 31st in throwing the ball, struggling to generate consistent offensive momentum and failing to capitalize on scoring opportunities against tougher defenses. Chicago's defense showed significant improvement last season, finishing 13th in the league after allowing just 21.8 points per game, a marked step up from previous years. They focused heavily on bolstering their defensive unit in the offseason, using 3 of their first 6 draft picks on promising players like Shamar Turner and Zaw Frazier. These young talents are expected to contribute immediately, adding speed, physicality, and versatility to the defense. With their infusion of youth and the experience of veterans, Chicago aims to continue tightening up defensively and become a tougher unit to score against moving forward. The Dolphins averaged 20.3 points per game last season, showing a balanced but somewhat uneven offensive approach. While their running game struggled to gain consistent yardage and establish dominance on the ground, they compensated by relying heavily on their passing attack. This passing attack faces a defense that ranked 17th against the pass last year, allowing 21.8 points per game. The Bears averaged slightly less at 18.2 points per game. Their offense was characterized by one of the weaker passing games in the league, struggling to move the ball through the air effectively. However, they found more success running the ball, relying on their ground game to sustain drives and control the clock. Defensively, they face a Dolphins team that was solid against the run, finishing 8th in the league and allowed 21.4 points per game. Given the contrasting strengths and weaknesses of these teams, with the Dolphins' passing attack going up against a middling secondary and the Bears' rushing attack trying to exploit a stout run defense, it's likely that both teams will manage to put enough points on the board to push the final score over the total. This matchup sets up well for an entertaining game with scoring opportunities on both sides, especially if early scoring forces each offense to stay aggressive throughout. The Dolphins went all in during the past 2 off-seasons, investing heavily in talent and coaching, but they failed to contend for the title in either year despite the high expectations. Their offense, which used to be their biggest strength, struggled mightily last season, showing inconsistency and an inability to sustain drives. They didn't make many moves this offseason to convince me that they've significantly improved or addressed their glaring weaknesses. One major issue was their ground game, which ranked among the worst in the league and forced them to rely heavily on the passing attack, often making their offense one-dimensional and easier to defend. Without a more balanced approach, it's hard to see them taking a meaningful step forward, especially when facing elite defenses that can pressure the quarterback and disrupt timing routes. Unless they find a way to establish the run and keep opposing defenses honest, their talented receivers may continue to be neutralized, and the offense could struggle to sustain success over the course of a full season. With the departure of Mostert in the offseason, the Dolphins lose a key component of their backfield, forcing them to rethink their rushing strategy. While Arcane is an explosive and dynamic runner, it's unlikely they'll keep him on the field for extended stretches, as the coaching staff will want to carefully manage his workload to avoid overuse and potential injury concerns. This reduction in ground game reliability will likely push Miami into a more pass-heavy approach than they would ideally prefer, leaning on their quarterback and receiving core to move the chains. However, this offensive shift plays directly into Chicago's defensive strengths. Without the looming threat of a consistent rushing attack, the Bears' defense can commit more resources to defending the pass, tightening coverage on the perimeter and over the middle. They'll be able to unleash a steady dose of pressure on the quarterback, using disguised blitzes and collapsing pockets to disrupt timing and rhythm in the passing game. By forcing hurried throws and capitalizing on mistakes, Chicago could generate turnovers or momentum-swinging plays that tilt the game in their favor. This tactical advantage gives them a prime opportunity to dictate the flow of the contest defensively. Chicago also struggled to find offensive rhythm last season, ranking near the bottom of the league in several key categories. But the front office took decisive action in the offseason to address those shortcomings. They invested heavily in their offensive line, adding both veteran talent and young depth to ensure better pass protection for the quarterback while simultaneously creating wider and more consistent running lanes for their backs. The Bears also used their first 2 draft selections on dynamic offensive skill players, injecting fresh talent, versatility, and speed into their attack. These changes give them a more balanced offensive identity and the ability to diversify their play calling. Now, they match up against a defense that struggled to contain opposing passing games last year, ranking among the lower half of the league, and showing minimal improvement during the offseason in both personnel and scheme. With a fortified offensive unit and a deeper arsenal of weapons, Chicago is in a prime position to dictate the tempo, sustain drives, and capitalize on mismatches. Expect them to move the ball efficiently and put up strong numbers, using their improved protection and skill talent to take full advantage of the opposing defense's vulnerabilities, especially in critical third down and red zone situations. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Chicago Bears -3. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. New Orleans Saints versus Los Angeles Chargers. The Saints issued a 5-12 record last season. The Chargers went 11-6 and lost in the wild card. The Chargers posted a 26-8 win against the Chargers last season. The New Orleans Saints enter the season with a new coach in Kellen Moore, hoping to bring the organization back into the playoffs after posting a 5-12 record last season. The Saints had inconsistent play at quarterback, and the defense was a big issue last season. The Saints have plenty to monitor in this year's preseason. Derek Carr was the expected number 1 quarterback, but the veteran made a surprising retirement announcement. The good news is the Saints used their first round on Tyler Show. The 25-year-old rookie recorded 3,195 passing yards with a 23-6 touchdown-to-interception ratio in college last year. Spencer Rattler is the favorite for the number 1 quarterback spot. The 24-year-old did get some playing time last year, posting 1,317 passing yards and a 4-5 touchdown-to-interception ratio. Third-string quarterback Jake Haener was a 4th-round pick a few years ago. He attempted 18 passes for 39 yards last season. Alvin Kamara is a huge threat at running back, but is not expected to play more than a few series in the preseason. Kendre Miller could see plenty of action. The 23-year-old rushed for 148 yards last year. Devin Neal and Cam Akers round out the running back group. The receiving core is solid. Chris Olave is a huge threat, bringing in 400 yards in only 8 games last year. Brandon Cooks is also back with the Saints. The Saints' defense was exposed last season and was rated 30th in yards conceded per game. They have a new defensive coordinator in Brandon Staley, who was once the head coach of the Chargers. The Saints made some big additions to the defense, highlighted by Chase Young. The defensive end was the number 2 draft pick in the 2020 draft. Young made 5.5 sacks last season, and the team hopes his presence can spark a much-needed turnaround in their pass rush. New Orleans posted an average of 19.9 points last season, ranking them 24th. The Saints conceded an average of 23.4 points, placing them 18th. The Los Angeles Chargers entered the season with huge expectations after posting an 11-6 record in their first year under head coach Jim Harbaugh, whose leadership brought a new level of discipline and physicality to the team. With the core roster intact, they are aiming for another mammoth campaign and are widely viewed as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Chargers strengthened their offense through key free agent signings and smart draft picks, adding both depth and playmaking potential. On the other side of the ball, the defense remains one of the more formidable units in the NFL, blending star power with solid role players, making Los Angeles one of the most balanced teams heading into the season. The Chargers boast impressive depth at the quarterback position behind starter Justin Herbert, giving them flexibility and options in preseason action. Herbert, one of the league's elite signal callers, is expected to see very limited action, likely playing only a few series at most before giving way to the reserves. Behind him is Taylor Heineke, a veteran who has started numerous games in his career, but saw minimal action last season in his first year with the Chargers, throwing for just 60 yards while serving primarily as Herbert's backup. Third on the depth chart is Trey Lance, the highly touted third overall pick in the 2021 draft. Although Lance's NFL career to this point has been marked by backup duties and limited playing time, he has accumulated 1,063 passing yards over parts of 3 seasons and showed flashes of his dual threat potential when given extended snaps. He played the majority of the Hall of Fame game last week, gaining valuable live reps. Rounding out the group is DJ Uiagalelei, the young quarterback who began his college career at Clemson before transferring to Florida State last season. He brings size, arm strength, and mobility to the position, and should also get opportunities in this matchup. With this mix of veteran leadership, former high draft picks, and young talent, the Chargers have a uniquely deep quarterback room for a preseason contest. Los Angeles will have a much different look in the backfield this season after signing Najee Harris and selecting Omarion Hampton in the second round of the draft. Harris, who rushed for 1,043 yards last year and brings a powerful downhill style, is currently dealing with an injury and will not suit up for this game. That absence could open the door for Hampton to see more work. The rookie was one of the most productive running backs in the FBS last season, showcasing a blend of vision, burst, and tackle-breaking ability. In the Hall of Fame game last week, Hampton logged 2 carries for 9 yards, giving fans a small preview of what he might contribute as the season unfolds. Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston headline the receiving corps, giving the offense a reliable combination of speed and size. Jalen Reagor provides depth at the wide receiver position, but is currently questionable due to an injury, which could impact the team's rotation. Rookie Trey Harris, meanwhile, offers plenty of intrigue. One of the most productive wideouts in the FBS in 2024, the Ole Miss product racked up 1,030 receiving yards last season and showcased excellent ball-tracking skills. His combination of route running, physicality, and ability to win contested catches makes him a potential breakout candidate, and he could see an increased target share in this matchup if Reagor is sidelined. The Chargers' defense is going to be a huge strength this season, anchored by a mix of proven veterans and high-impact playmakers. They boast plenty of big names, including Khalil Mack and Denzel Perryman, whose presence will help set the tone physically. While Joey Bosa was released by the club to clear cap space, the defensive front still packs a punch. The secondary does have some question marks, as the team is rather thin at cornerback, meaning Dante Jackson will be relied on heavily to match up against opposing top receivers. Derwin James Jr. remains one of the elite safeties in the NFL, capable of making game-changing plays in both coverage and run support. Last season, the Chargers' defense held opponents to an average of just 330 yards per game, and with improved cohesion, they're aiming to tighten up even further in 2025. Los Angeles averaged 23 points in 2024, marking them 13th. The Chargers held opponents to 18.5 points, good for second. I expect a barrage of scoring in this matchup, as several factors point toward a high offense affair. The Saints enter the season with a new defensive coordinator, and while practice and training camp provide valuable opportunities for players to familiarize themselves with new schemes and responsibilities, it's never the same as executing under the speed and pressure of a live game. The Chargers, already battle-tested after piling on 34 points in their decisive win over Detroit last week, come in with confidence and rhythm on offense. Considering the Saints' pass defense ranked just 28th in the league last year and struggled to limit explosive plays, I expect quarterback Taylor Heineke to take full advantage, spreading the ball around and posting a big statistical outing. In addition, the Saints' quarterback battle should help them score points. Tyler Show posted mammoth numbers in college last year and is eager to prove what he can do, and Rattler wants the #1 spot entering the regular season. The added competition under center should push both to take more chances downfield, leading to bigger plays and potentially more scoring opportunities. These squads met in last year's preseason in a game where New Orleans scored 22 points, showing they can move the ball effectively against this opponent. Meanwhile, the over is a convincing 5-0 in the Chargers' past 5 games, indicating a consistent trend toward high-scoring matchups, especially when their defense struggles to get off the field. Combined with the Saints' offensive motivation, this could set up another game with plenty of points. The New Orleans Saints have plenty of new parts and are very much a work in progress as they try to establish chemistry and adapt to a new system. They enter this season with a fresh coaching staff led by head coach Kellen Moore and a newly appointed defensive coordinator, both of whom bring different philosophies and schemes that will take time to fully implement. On the other side, the Los Angeles Chargers hold an early advantage, having already seen live action in last week's Hall of Fame game, where they delivered a dominant 34-7 win over the Detroit Lions. That game allowed them to knock off rust, evaluate depth players, and fine-tune execution in a competitive setting. Furthermore, these games are all about the backups, as depth and competition often dictate preseason outcomes. The Chargers have notable depth at quarterback, with Taylor Heinicke, a veteran who has started several regular season games in his career, set to start this one. Heinicke brings valuable experience and poise under pressure, which is rare in August football. They also have Trey Lance, the #3 pick in the 2021 draft, who is still looking to prove himself and refine his mechanics after limited NFL reps. On the other side, the Saints have an intriguing situation with rookie Tyler Show battling Spencer Rattler for the #1 quarterback spot. Rattler, despite his strong arm, connected on just 57% of his passes in 7 games last year, raising concerns about his decision-making. Depth has proven decisive for Los Angeles, as each of the Chargers' past 5 preseason wins has been by 7 or more points, showing their ability to dominate late in games when rosters get deep into the bench. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Los Angeles Chargers +1. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.